Okay. We are looking to make sure the finalized newsletter is in residents' mailboxes on June 9th or 10th. And we're hoping to make sure that information for the bike rodeo is out to the public. And so that's why that date was chosen. We've counted back, and it looks like the first newsletter deadline for articles for the first newsletter will be May 19th to me, and then that was the tablet. Then they'll go to council for review on the 22nd, and then feedback is due back to me on the 26th, and then it needs to get to the publisher. And so the purpose of this agenda item is to ask who would like to be the first contributor from council.
As far as like a council corner, or kind of like reviewing?
As council corner. A council corner article tidbit.
I don't know how Trent feels about it, but I think as council president at the end of the first newsletter, I think if Trent can just give basically an overall, maybe even if it's just one of the roles and responsibilities of the council, just so that we can educate people, and invite them to our meetings.
Yeah, because do you have a word count?
Yeah. We always put our names in a hat for all around. Starting with the president, he's already the first one.
Well, I can do the first one, and maybe we just go, because I'm position 7. Maybe we start with position 1 next time. And go through. I don't know who position 1 is, but it's not me.
It was suggested that we have a council member leaving, and maybe he would like to weigh in as well.
What position number are you? Okay. Well, maybe we just go backwards.
No, I'm 5.
Okay. So that sounds like I've been chosen to do the first one.
Told.
Yeah, it's a recommendation. It doesn't mean we have to go with that.
I'm fine with it. That's what.
But I just think that it would be, council president should get the first crack at it.
You mentioned me. Thank you. And I like our motion for consideration too. I move to. Okay, so no action needed on this one?
You just know who to pester.
That would be me.
Before we get off this topic?
Yeah.
One thing I was wondering is as it goes to each council, one idea would be to have the chair of each committee each quarter, or whatever designated quarter that they have it, write something specific to the committee they chair. And I guess one of the things for just review, is it something that we want the council president to review before it goes to press?
Well, it sounds like all of council will get copies of
the draft.
The draft, yeah. So are we?
Well, I'm wondering before it becomes open public stuff, if it's something that we could have a screening process by which someone can say, hey, that's probably not appropriate for this, and it, and not just be coming from staff, but maybe the staff's going to review it, I'm sure, for content. Maybe even Carol will probably want to read it to make sure we don't do something silly. And the mayor's going to read it, but I think, I don't know how much time it would take for the council president to review it, just if there were any concerns from that position.
Well, we did say that it would be sent out to all the council body for review prior to, for concerns.
Okay, that might be good enough.
Yeah.
Have we identified a process for bringing topics up?
We have not.
Okay. Because I know that Leanne and I talked to Eric, because they do a quarterly Firewatch newsletter about their process, and they actually so the public information officer, which wouldn't be relevant to our case, but they have one point of contact that's kind of responsible for kind of wrangling articles and whatnot. So it sounds like you would be that point person, but reaching out maybe to department heads and determining topics and then bringing a topic list to council, or at least to the respective committees to see if it's something they want to include. I don't want to bog the process down, but I think committees know better than I would about, especially like Public Works Committee, if it's something that's relevant for a newsletter. I don't think council needs to look at the list, but like in Leanne's staff meeting, she's, maybe spitball it and reach out to your committee chairs or something just to kind of make sure.
I mean, that's just one the council portion is just one portion of it, that I'm sure the newsletter's going to contain other things like community events, like the summer edition, like I'm sure this June edition is going to talk about the events coming up, which would be car show, bike rodeo, things like that will be covered in that.
And summer programs for the kids.
Yeah, so when we get to the fall one, we'll include probably the Christmas tree lighting and things like that. Budget time.
Will there be enough space so that partnerships can put contact info or anything like that?
What the mayor suggested is, in the calendar portion, because we'll list events, something in the calendar portion, just saying, partnerships, need, whatever the date is, then, that people are welcome to attend.
Most of the time it's voluntary.
Right.
That's good. Other questions or comments around that topic? Okay. Next, discussion of purchase and policies regarding applications to be added to the service tablets. Richard, did you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, we both talked about it, maybe you.
So this came up at the technology committee meeting, around productivity apps for the Surface tablet. And we haven't purchased any yet. Auburn IT set up a store account or Microsoft Store account using my email address. When I went to sign in, I don't know if it reminded me or told me that you can sign up or use applications purchased on 81 tablets. So if we purchase one on my ID, council can use it on all of our, the 9 Surface tablets that we own in the city. I think we've done something similar with Office. I think Office 365 allows you to use 5 licenses or 5 tablets under 1 license. So we ended up buying 2 licenses and saved some money. So the technology committee kind of discussed this and thought it was a good idea to at least explore additional productivity apps for council. But as of right now, we don't have the approval to do that under the purchasing policy. So we wanted to talk to the council to get your thoughts on, purchasing apps. Apps run anywhere from free to, there's apps that are, $20 or $30, but most of them, or a lot of them, offer free trials, so we can kind of test it out, and then if there's something we like, we can purchase it and download it, and multiple council members can use it. So, but wanted to bring up the discussion topic at least for council and get your thoughts.
I think it's a good idea.
I know there's a couple apps, one that I tested, and it was a very short trial. I think it was like 10 days, and I downloaded it for one meeting, and then by the time the next meeting came around, I couldn't use it again. So, but it's like, the one I was looking at was for marking up agendas. So it's a little bit more robust than what Adobe Reader has, where you can actually draw on it using the pen, make your notes a little bit more obvious, so it's easier to kind of track. Others that I was looking at was like a to-do list. So I know committees, we refer stuff down the road, and there are times where it gets lost, and it happens here too, where we put something out 3 months down the road, and even though Amy takes great notes, it doesn't necessarily always make it if it drops off the calendar somewhere. So just being able to kind of take notes, keep track of things, and have it pop up at the appropriate time. So, and I think, we don't have a policy in place, but it might be something that the technology committee can, try out apps, see if it's something that may work for the council, and then kind of roll it out that way. So, Councilor Kent.
And to go one step further, when you do find, you go through the screening process and you find something that works, not just buy it, but maybe provide training so that we can maximize the effectiveness of what they have. otherwise we might be spending money for some of it that
Yeah.
won't benefit from it because we don't understand how to use it. I know anytime something new comes out, I'd like to have some training on how to use it so that I can maximize the use of it, because I haven't really figured out how to maximize this product that we have in front of us right now.
Well, I think maybe coming up in April, maybe, or May, with our council retreat, maybe we can set some time on the agenda to talk about tablet best practices for people that have used it quite a bit. I know I'm probably on the more techie side of it, but there's, still features that I'm figuring out, so maybe just an opportunity to talk about it, and then if needed, have IT come in and answer questions, yeah. I think there's a need for them to come in and troubleshoot some of ours. Mine was just replaced, so it's set up properly again, but once my passwords got out of sync, it was nothing but problems, so.
That's what I'm finding right now, is I'm having a hard time getting that ability up, because I either forgot my password, or I was supposed to change it and didn't.
And if you don't change
I can get
it
that
right when
changed.
it asks you to change it, like, you don't have the option again, and you have to get IT involved in it.
That's something for now.
And then sometimes this happened to me when you change the password, it works well and it stops working. Because when they're not in sync, for some reason, that causes a problem like you were saying. So what I do is I call Auburn and just say, I'll just change it back to both being the same. So anytime it happens, just send me an email, I'll get them to do that for you. That way we can avoid this. Because eventually it won't be a problem.
If you can get connected, it will work. If not.
Or on a regular computer.
Okay, so can we look at, technology committee will look at a policy and bring it, I think we'll probably update the purchasing policy, and then we're looking at policies for, when we passed the device policy, it didn't deal with tablets because it wasn't even on the radar. So I think it was just starting to introduce smartphones. It's been a couple of years. So, and now that several of our department heads have iPhones, I think it's a good opportunity to look at application purchases. Games aren't appropriate for purchase, that kind of stuff. So, common sense again. But.
Another thing is, staff could, needs training on this too. And if we establish training time for staff, just making it available for council members to attend for the purpose of getting the training too, so that you don't have to rely on, that one retreat a year or something like that to do stuff.
Well, I think Microsoft has some good training that's available on their website, that kind of stuff. And I know like a lot of the individual programs, at least from larger companies, Adobe has some good training on their website. For the most cases, it's free, it's Adobe Reader. And I would bet that Microsoft does as well. So, but I can look and gather maybe some links up and hand them out to council, or perhaps email them out to council. So that'd be great if you have some time to go look. There's some other online training that there's a cost associated with, but it might be worth a subscription for a few months if council wants to take some of those classes. They're broken up into really small chunks, and you can take them right from your tablet. Maybe, Richard, maybe we can add that to the technology committee as well. So
Okay.
online training for technology products.
And also, I was going to mention that I spoke with Sophia about how the personnel policy should include, well, actually, she said a more robust internet policy. She said right now, because I had her look at it before we purchased these tablets, she said it's good enough right now to protect the council and the staff, but I would rather see it strengthened. And so I haven't gotten back to her since then because we've been a little busy, but I think we'll tie that in with that too, as far as what you can put on the surface, how you purchased it. Because the purchasing policy can be in there, but it's a small little bit of the whole thing. If we want something to see it easier, we put it right in the policy that they learn at, what they receive when they come into the city.
Well, our internet policy was adopted before Facebook got big.
Right.
Before things like internet, like Gmail and stuff that was easy to log into from remote locations and not having it set up. So I think having that protects staff as well for people that are signing into Facebook on their lunch.
Yeah, that reminded me that we probably also need to update policy on document retention for non-city resources. If any official city account posts something to Twitter or Facebook, is that a public record that needs to be retained, and if so, how? And I suppose along with that, there was the big stink about the state contract doesn't actually provide for retention of text messages sent by, if your city is using text SMS. The city is required to retain those messages. They are public records, but the state contract does not provide for the carrier to retain them, so the city has to develop its own procedures on how we're going to retain ephemeral text messages. Yeah.
Okay. More stuff in the technology?
So you need some city address, P.C.S and all text messages or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Richard, solid waste contract RFP.
Okay. So, council approved the authorized the staff to prepare an RFP for solid waste services back in March 9th. And so I worked with the solid waste committee a little bit on getting it done as quickly as possible, so that was meant a 2-week turnaround. However, we've run into quite a few questions that came in. The deadline was today, and I got a few on Friday and a bunch more today. And there's one group that's involved, and they have calling to me for questions, and that's Republic, and I'm going to tell them to email them to me. However, the problem is these questions are going to take some time to answer. I don't want, Lance and I have some experience with this, but we haven't been involved with the negotiations, which is not the whole thing either. So what I'm going to recommend here is, or ask council, because it doesn't take council action, I kind of misquoted that saying approval, but what it really says, or authorized, what it really is, we can do the time as we want, staff, and I would ask for 2 more weeks to give us time to do the checking, to make sure we have the right answers. I've spoken with our attorney. She says there are a couple questions you have to actually put the answers to on your website for the RFP. So, and if we're going to do it this week, I'd have to have those answers tomorrow, and there's just no way. There's too much depth to them, and I would like the council to be involved in this so that if I've given them the questions, if they have any ideas of how they want to go. I think these questions are not so much technical or legal, but they're maybe more technical as far as what you want in the contract, and I don't think anybody can answer that for you but you. So what I'll do is I have them all in front of you, and then when Leanne gets back in town, I'll go over them with her, and we'll come back. Maybe it'll be a discussion item for next Monday as well, to just let the committee talk about it, and then where we're going to go from there, and how many we've got answered, or what the status is, because it's all just really new right now. Okay.
Questions from council?
Not too much question, but some statements, or some of the questions I can answer as solid waste committee member, and what Mark said last when we wrote it.
Okay.
That'll be helpful. Yeah, I emailed him on last week. You saw some of the email I sent you, right?
I just saw that I hadn't.
Okay, and I kind of know you're sure. So that's why I did send them to you, because I know that you've been really involved with Clint on this, and that'll be helpful. So, but I think once we've got them all answered, we bring them back to council and show them, and then we close. If we can close it, let's say we come back next week, we could close it by May 4th, but let's say, or whatever that is, no, it's May 1st. I think just to be safe, May 8th would be good. And I'll talk to the people that are involved and explain that to them. We'll put it on the website.
Is council comfortable with referring it to the questions to the solid waste committee and then bringing it back to council for discussion? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
And Stacy, sick leave policy.
Yeah, we discussed the personnel policy on sick leave policy at the last governance meeting, and Richard, we were taking some of the questions to Sophia. We had a really long discussion. There's a lot of questions. It's not an easy thing to discuss, because it's emotional. It's concerning somebody who may be sick and needing sick leave donated, and how much is too much, and who governs it. So Richard's taking questions to our personnel attorney, and we'll be bringing the answers back at our next meeting. So I just wanted to update everybody. We're working on it. It's tricky though.
And I wanted to let you know that I'm meeting with her on Wednesday, the phone conference, see if we can get some answers, and hopefully have them by the end of this week, or at least the week before, the next meeting. Your next meeting, I believe, is the 5th. Is it on Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the 5th. So I should have some answers for you by then. Well, we'll just see, because I have a feeling it's gonna be somewhat like Carol, where she's gonna answer more than we ask her, so.
That might be good, though.
But I think it will. I think
That
what
will
she
save us
needs
asking her
to,
more.
because she's got all our personnel policies, and so she's trying to go through them, but she needs a little more direction, so I'm gonna work with her on that.
Well, and I understand sick leave is kind of a sensitive subject, but it shouldn't be personal. We need to look at it from a policy perspective and not look at who can be sick or who's gonna be sick or whatnot. It's just like hiring and firing decisions, and just like union contracts, it needs to be.
But it's who can determine and how much is the limit and.
Yeah, but there should be no motion.
Well, but that's where it does, because when somebody's sick, I mean, you feel for them. And so that becomes difficult, but that's why we need to get this figured out before it happens. So there's no.
Get rules in place that nobody is putting in place.
Right.
Exactly. Yep, that's why we get the big bucks, right? Other topics for discussion? Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.